Constitution says about how this is all supposed to work, because we just don't care.
Yeah, and Ken, I thought HBOU, that was, I'm sure, a tough letter for them to write, but they put it out that they're very concerned about what happens to the citizens of Houston if somebody is picked up in a situation like this or cited and released. And do they have the liability? There's also just the concept of public safety, which we've clearly have had many battles with these leftist progressive judges and people like Rodney Ellis and others with the Rule 9 about trying to release violent criminals out of, on the street like popcorn. So this is an old battle and it keeps coming back, but clearly, the evidence is there, the law is there. And so, I'm just, surprised that once again we're having a major fight with what was, but I'm really not surprised because these are leftist progressives and and that's all they want to do. That's all they want to believe in.
Ken, this is Eric.
Well, first of all, I want to give you credit in the legislature for passing laws that provide safety to our citizens and look out for our citizens, because clearly what they're doing in Harris County and what they're doing with the city council is not looking out for the benefit of the citizens. They have another agenda, but it isn't looking out for the safety of our citizens. And, the police clearly recognize that. They know that this puts them in a bad situation. It creates liability for them, but it also creates tremendous risk, and there will be consequences, negative consequences to what the city is doing if this is allowed to happen, because people are going to get hurt, and somebody's going to die, if not many people, and they seem to have no regard for their own citizens, and that's pretty that's pretty bad.
No, and that's what's appalling to me when I've looked at all this, Ken, and that's why we shipped it up to you. I've talked, sent messages to Charles Perry, who was the author of SB4. And, clearly in the intent was not to have a sanctuary process or any part of it. Ben.
Yeah, Attorney General Paxman. Hey, thanks for joining us on the Voice of Texas. I want to ask you, of course, we have this legislative ban signed by the governor prohibiting sanctuary cities or counties or any entities in Texas. And we believe that HPD had access to or was accessing a database that had a list of individuals that ICE was seeking to detain, and whether or not it was, we believe it was administrative warrants that they were using to detain those folks. So irrespective of whether or not those are legal or not, which is Democrats have done it all the time. They did it on Obama. We'll deal with that later. But this appears to be a ban on cooperation with ICE. In other words, that there's this list that police were out there, checking individuals on traffic stops, holding them for 30 minutes, Eric, holding them for 30 minutes and waiting for ICE to show up. And if they showed up, they would turn the individual over to ICE. They could be on that list because they missed their immigration hearing. Maybe they were denied their asylum status. They had already seen an immigration judge, or they could be a potential criminal of some kind or committed some other offense in another state that maybe, we don't know about. So does that qualify prohibiting cooperation with ICE? Is that barred under state law?
By the way, before the Attorney General Ken Paxton answers that question, this is the Craig Collins Show. I am live. I decided to replay the entirety of the interview between the Amigos and Ken Paxton. We have about 2.5 minutes left, but I started getting phone calls during the break or during this on-air segment where people are like, hey, are you doing your radio show? I am, guys. I am. But here's more. Here's Ken answering that question.
It couldn't be more explicitly barred. It says that SB4, which was passed into that SB4 of 2017, specifically says that they cannot prohibit or materially limit. So prohibit was one of the words specifically used in the statute, cooperation with ICE. So those are the words that the legislature put in place. I always assume they intended to put those words in there, and they mean what they mean. And I don't think they could have been any more clear. Otherwise, what's the point of having laws?
And that applies to the jails.
Expressing themselves.
Doesn't that apply to the jails as well, so that if individuals in there have administrative warrants and they come find themselves in a county jail or a city jail, that they have an obligation to turn them over?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm telling you, the legislature was very clear on what they intended, and they expressed it in a way that I don't think is unclear at all. Prohibit or materially limit. Now, you can...
And said, no, I can't, you can't vote on it. And that's what made the leftist progressive are. But go ahead, Ken, finish the conversation.
Well, all I was saying is I don't care what a city attorney thinks the law is. I care about two branches of government.
That's
One
awesome.
is the legislature who wrote it and used very specific words. I care about what they think, and I care about what the judiciary thinks of anything that needs to be, interpreted. Maybe that's not clear, but in these counties and other governmental entities to follow the directive of the citizens' elected representatives, because that's what they're supposed to do.
Well, and Ken, that is why we have you on, and we've had, like I said, you're right, Groundhog Day. I could only remember 3 big ones, but I'm sure we've done a dozen, over the last 10 years. But it's only because you've been willing to get grab the bat and take a swing in the batter's box on it.
Well, Paul, let me just interrupt and say, on your drive home, you'll think of at least 3 more.
That is Ken Paxton on with the Amigos. Really, really good interview, as I said. We are having some trouble with our video, so if you are live streaming on any of our social media platforms, you're hearing the show, which is nice. That's very radio-esque. You're not necessarily seeing it because trying to do 3 hours of a live stream via a Bluetooth connection to a cell phone apparently is not working so well this time. It worked just fine last week, but this week, not so much. All right, I'm going to take a break. In about 10 minutes, we are going to be doing our Veteran Voices segment. This is where I talk to a local veteran about whatever they want to talk about. It doesn't matter what the issue might be. It doesn't matter, really I'm open to anything. Jimmy X has helped book a guest that has a lot of really cool things going on. So you'll hear from a veteran in about 9 minutes. This is KSEV, KGBC, the voice of Texas. More coming up in a bit.
Where we go in life matters, and what we do matters. And we know that taking the wrong road won't produce the best outcomes. Hi, I'm Kathy with Baker Mortgage, and we want you to take the right path when it comes to your mortgage. We live in a world of information overload, but always consider the source. And these are not generally going to be from your big bank or a random offer that comes across your screen. Remember, you're always going to get a better deal on one that you go looking for than one that comes looking for you. You need to deal with somebody who gives a you-know-what, whether or not you're happy in the end. At Baker Mortgage, we do it right. We haven't been around for 68 years because we're lucky. We don't sell CDs, insurance, or anything else. We just provide a great mortgage experience. Isn't that what you're looking for? Call us at Baker Mortgage. I promise you'll be glad you did. We're at 281-313-MOVE or go directly to bakermortgage.com.
Equal housing lender. License number 263213.
Hi, I'm Tommy Mello with Garage Door Doctors. My mom recently moved into a new home with a builder-grade garage door. Noisy, flimsy, and not built to last, so we're fixing that. Mom, you're my hero. When I was growing up, she worked 3 jobs just to save our house.
And helped you build this company.
Now I'm giving her a beautiful new garage door that's built to last. The garage is 40% of your home's curb appeal. When it looks good and it works great.
Life is good. Thanks, Tommy.
From repairs to upgrades, call Garage Door Doctor today.
How was your break?
It was great until I stopped for gas. Prices have gone up almost $1 with no end in sight. I might have to start watching how much I drive.
That's exactly why I use Upside. I never pay full price for gas with the free Upside app.
Upside?
Yes, Upside. It's the free app that gives you cash back just for buying the gas you're already buying. So even with the rising gas prices, I'll never have to limit how much I drive.
Does that actually add up to anything?
Just last year, I made over $200 with the Upside app.
Wow, that's serious extra cash. I'm downloading the free Upside app right now.
Download the free Upside app to earn cash back on the gas you're already buying. Use promo code STATION for an extra 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. You can cash out anytime, right to your bank account, or an e-gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code STATION for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first fill-up. That's STATION.
Offers vary by user and location. Go to upside.com for terms and conditions.
At Easy Cater, we believe every workday gets better with great food. Like that morning status meeting, always better with bagels. And don't forget the coffee. Ops team working late? How about some Power Bowls to keep them going strong? Sandy's celebrating 10 years at the company. This calls for cupcakes. With EasyCater, you get a huge variety of favorite restaurants with tools to help meet dietary needs and stay on budget, all on one platform. So make every workday better with EasyCater. Start an order at easycater.com.
Hi, this is Paul Betancourt. Property values may have peaked, making 2026 a must year to protest your property taxes. Sign up with my excellent Betancourt tax advisor team at btanow.com, as our experienced senior property tax agents and customer service matter. The Taxman says do it now.
Sign up with Betancourt Tax Advisors by going online to btanow.com or by calling Paul's professional property team at 713-263-6100.
Dan Patrick for my friend Louis Flory and Ability Tree Experts.
Spring is here and summer just around the corner, which means it's time to deep root fertilize your trees in addition to spraying for insects and disease. Let Ability Trees help maintain their value and repair all damage. Fed and prune tree will be less susceptible to wind damage and uprooting. Caring for the beautiful and valuable trees on your property that you can't replace should be done by experts. And the experts I use, it's very clear. It's Ability Tree Experts and Louis Flory, my friend for over 40 years. Gosh, this guy is the pro when it comes to taking care of trees. You know, pruning is important for the health of your trees, and pruning limits resistance to spring storms and allows the sun and fresh air into the canopy. Trees can be in distress several months without showing any signs, so don't wait to protect your investment at 281-441-4179, 281-441-4179, or visit their website at abilitytrees.com. Right now, Ability Trees is giving a deep root feeding with every tree prune. Ability Trees, Houston's leading tree care professional.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm, and Chuck McDowell definitely not an attorney. This is Chuck. If someone talked you into buying something really silly and you want to get out of that silly little thing, my advice, get the facts. Call me and I'll send you our timeshare exit kit absolutely free. Inside, you'll learn how timeshare works and all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free exit information kit. 800-909-9696. 800-909-9696.
This is the Craig Collins Show, KSEV, KGBC, the Voice of Texas. We play a whole bunch of commercials there on purpose so that we don't have to have any interruption for the entirety of our Veteran Voices segment. I will bring on Darryl Centanni. He is a veteran here in town with an amazing nonprofit, D2 Government Solutions. It services disabled veteran-owned small businesses. Darryl, welcome to the show. Darryl, are you there? Can you hear me? I might have to hit a button in the other
Craig,
room. Oh, there you go. Okay, thank God. Thank God.
Craig, how you doing?
Good, man. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
Sure. So first, explain to me what the organization is that you're a part of, the D2 Government Solutions. We'll start there. I think we're going to have a wide-ranging discussion about you in general, and at some point, a good buddy of yours, a regular caller of ours, Jimmy X, might call into the show. But what is D2 Government Solutions?
Yeah, D2 Government Solutions, we're actually a for-profit business, but we're
gotcha.
Service-disabled, veteran-owned business based on my combat disability when I was in the Navy. And I founded the company 16 years ago, and we're a defense contractor basically, and we're aviation services company. We employ about 300 employees around the country.
Wow.
We have about 13 government contracts, and I'm actually here in Texas. We have a couple of contracts here in Texas. We have with the 13 employees here in Texas, and we're bidding more and more contracts here in Texas. And our headquarters is in New Bern, North Carolina, and I'm looking at expanding further in Texas. And secondly, part of our business is we own an aviation company that services the United States Air Force. And so we're very much engaged in the military, day-to-day operations. We know everything that's going on with the military, and we support the warfighter.
Okay. It's amazing. I'm sorry I misunderstood a little bit of the type of organization you are. You do military tactic operational training. You do all kinds of stuff. Can I ask you, this is a pivot, and we'll get back to the organization a little bit, but what is your, if it's okay, general assessment of how the U.S. military has conducted itself fighting Iran? Is there anything you can give me, any sense of, sort of a reaction there? President Trump says it's been dominant.
Yeah, haven't participated. I retired in the end of 2009.
Sure.
And I had participated in every single conflict, and I was an aviator. I flew P3, so I had 300 hours of combat time. I will tell you, the level of professionalism this group, what the Pentagon is doing, they are tearing it up. They are really kicking butt.
Yeah.
Militarily, it's unquestionable. I don't, any military listeners out there would know to be able to execute and carry out 13,000 targets, and that's a one bomb, one target.
Sure.
At a 97% success rate, that's pretty phenomenal, considering we had to drop 500 bombs to hit one target during World War II.
Yeah.
And this is pretty much a 1-for-1. I mean, we put a target out there. There's a 97% chance that it's going to hit the target, and it's just phenomenal what our guys are doing.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. I wonder where that advancement is it a general technology advancement? Is it a multitude of things that makes us this much more proficient? By the way, we do have a call that came in. I can't screen it. I think it could be Jimmy X. But answer my question, then we're going to bring in a caller.
Yeah, I think it's AI. I think it's
Sure.
Our military is constantly assessing, and we're very well funded. The military has been very well funded since 2000, since the Gulf, the war on terrorism. Now, we do come up short and you have to do some changes, but as far as the air war and as far as the Navy, Naval Air Aviation, and Air Force, United States Air Force, we're unbelievable, and advancements have been significant, especially with AI and communications and data links and stuff like that. So it's really, really phenomenal what they're doing.
All right, we're going to gamble here and see who this caller is. Caller, what's your name?
Hey, my name is Rick.
Rick, what would you like to say? You're calling into the Craig Collins Show, and you have a veteran guest, Darryl Centanni, on with us.
I'm just taking a left turn on the topic here. The space capsule is supposed to return here in the next 30 minutes. Just want to encourage everyone to pray for their safety. I don't have a whole lot of confidence in this. This capsule's had several issues.
Sure.
And I think we should trust Elon Musk to get us to the moon instead of Boeing, unfortunately. But anyway, I just want to ask everyone to pray for their safety
Sure.
as they come back.
Well, thank you so much for the call. I appreciate that sentiment. I don't know, Darryl, if you can weigh in on anything going on as far as the space exploration program. I'm guessing that's going to go outside any of your level of expertise. But have you at least been casually paying attention to the Artemis 2 mission?
I'll tell you, my son is a graduate of the Air Force Test Pilot School.
Wow.
And I was just out at Edwards Air Force Base, and I got to look into some of the programs that they're working on with Elon Musk and Boeing. As part of that, being a parent, attending that, and it was pretty impressive what our relationship is with public-private partnerships.
Sure.
I mean, we can leverage so much more technology with these public-private ventures than we could just with the taxpayer paying in the old days of NASA.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I totally agree with you. I think that's been a game changer. And also just, I guess I'll say it to you this way. I think things like a mission to the moon demonstrate American exceptionalism in a way that a lot of younger generations simply don't appreciate. And I think it's a really vital component to getting that sense of patriotism back for some of our younger generations, to see some of the success of the United States on a scale like this. I know that the caller referenced some level of fear in the capsule's safety. From what I'm seeing, just Googling it quickly, I don't have deeper knowledge on this. It seems like they're projecting everything to be okay, but I will offer my prayers too. We're getting another call, Darryl. We're gonna gamble again. Caller, what's your name?
Professor.
Oh, it's Jimmy X this time. How you doing, buddy?
Right.
I'm doing outstanding. So just two quick questions for Darryl. Number one, why the Navy and not the Army? I think that's a very logical, simple question.
All right. I think he wants you to answer that one first, Darryl, before he gets to the second one.
Well, I think I'll tell you what. we need some more Army helicopters in the Straits there to take out those small gunboats so we can open up the Straits. That is one question that I actually have, and I've been reading very fiercely about it, trying to educate myself. But it seems that there's a lot of small boats out there, and the president don't want to put boots on ground. That's a tough one.
Yeah.
But I will tell you, using A-10s and using Army helicopters, especially Apaches, we could really do some damage with those small boats and escorting ships in there through the Straits. But I think part of the problem is the insurance companies just want zero risk. I think Lloyd's of London just wants a zero risk to enter the Straits. And who's gonna what company is gonna risk a $150 or $200 million tanker to go to the Straits? From what I understand, the Straits are actually closed, not by anybody stopping. It's more out of fear than anything.
Yes. I think that was an incredible answer to the question, why did you choose the Navy instead of the Army? Because I learned a bunch of stuff right there in that. And I kind of want to now send you out of the Straits of Hormuz because I think they'd be open in a few hours. Jimmy, did you have another question for Darryl?
Yeah, and this is a little more of a serious question, though. So, both Darryl and I served under multiple administrations, both flavors of ice cream, red and blue. And I would like him just to comment, the listening audience, how important the Commander-in-Chief is to the morale, the mission, and the future of our military.
Great question. Go ahead, Darryl.
Absolutely. I'd love to answer that. So I will tell you, having two sons right now, currently in the Air Force, and they were in the Air Force under the last administration, under the first Trump administration, under the Biden administration, and under now the Trump administration. I can tell you it's night and day under Trump. His leadership and what he has done in the Pentagon in a short time is, I cannot support Pete Hegseth enough of what he's done in cleaning up the Pentagon. He's chosen the right people. There are some political issues going on with inside the Pentagon, but he has definitely chosen the right people, and that leadership is absolutely imperative. Both my kids were considering getting out. Trump got reelected, and I'm going to tell you, they're on board. They're going to follow him through hell and fire. And I can tell you, it matters. Serving 24 years, and Jimmy knows this, under a poor administration that doesn't support you, doesn't fund you. Under Clinton, we were stealing parts off of aircraft during the Clinton years in the 90s. We would find a static display, fly to a location, steal parts off of airplanes. That's how poorly funded we were during the 90s under Bill Clinton. And the Republicans, I'm not going to pull any punches. The Republicans seem to support the military, and they seem to put the dollars to support the military, peace through strength, and it's very, very important.
Wow.
And I think we got a political curveball here. I think Trump is in a tough spot, but he's doing the right thing, and I think he's playing a long game.
Yes.
Yeah.
I wholeheartedly agree with you,
let
sir.
me just say this.
Yeah, go ahead.
He is brilliant. Strategically, he has checkmated on the long game. He has checkmated China, checkmated Russia.
Yes.
Taken over Venezuela, controlled the oil market out of Venezuela. The U.S. now has a say-so in that. Basically set up the Darrow Doctrine, and he's put up his chessboard. Once we solve the problem of the Straits of Hormuz, it's game on. The U.S. is now in control, and there's no competition against China with his bold strokes. And who could have said he'd done it in 18 months? He's done it in 18 months.
Yeah. No, I absolutely am inspired to ask you questions now about the importance of both what we did in Venezuela and what we're doing in Iran and how it relates to China and Russia and all of the ways they circumvent sanctions, all of that stuff. But I'm going to wait on a second on that because I'm inspired to ask you something that kind of relates to Jimmy X's question. Did you pick the Navy because they always say you travel more? I saw that you served in Africa for a while. You see more of the world is sort of the I think pitch of the Navy compared to other armed forces. I don't know if Jimmy X is going to agree with that, but is that why maybe you picked that branch of our military, because you would get to do things like what you wound up doing, leading a group in Africa? Go ahead.
Well, two reasons why I joined the Navy. I absolutely wanted to fly airplanes. That's all I wanted to do since I was a little kid, fly airplanes. And it was either the Navy, Air Force, or the Army, fly helicopters. And, you know, honestly, the Navy had the coolest uniforms. You know, whites in the Navy is the coolest uniform, other than the Marine Corps, but then again, the Marine Corps is part of the United States Navy. So they're infantry for the United States Navy. I'm sure you can get some colors about that. But anyway.
You did make a crayon joke, so I think we're okay.
Yeah. But, yeah, Jimmy, that's the real reason. I wanted to fly. And honestly, the Navy gave me the, you know, Ronald Reagan needed a 600-ship Navy, and he needed pilots for those aircraft carriers. And I went in and I took the test on a Friday afternoon, and the recruiter came in and said, "Can you be gone? Can you get on a bus here in a week?" And I said, "I can get on a bus tomorrow morning if it means I'm going to flight school." And that's how I got in the Navy, and I did it, and I'll never regret it. I loved it. It's great.
Jimmy, do you want to say anything in response to that?
No, it's a great story. I've heard Darryl's story a couple of times on his path and growth to into the Navy and his military service. And, you know, truth be told, Darryl and I went to high school together. He was graduated 2 years ahead of me. We played the same position in high school. We have a very similar path in life, both military, college, etc.
Yeah, and I heard somebody say that sophomore in high school should have been starting over that senior. I don't know who it was that was telling me that.
I never said that, Craig. I did not say that, Darryl.
I tell you what. Jimmy and his brother Sean were on the football field. Those guys, you know, when you get to be a senior, sometimes you start the brother-in-law, you know.
Sure.
You start to goof around. Those two guys played at 110% all the time. All the time. If you let your guard down, and I think Jimmy would play, you know, specialty defense on the other side. You let your guard down, and you don't go 100%. Jimmy would knock your damn block off. So, so we knew that. So Jimmy's a good ball player, and he's a good ball player as a 2 years behind me. You know, he played a lot of specialty teams, and I want to say he had a great fumble recovery in the East St. John game. Where we were freezing our ass off on that Thanksgiving there, Joe.
Well, and apparently he likes to imitate everything you do. I heard that he got jobs that you got. Like, he did all kinds of things that you did, right?
You know, Craig, real quick.
Go ahead, either one of you. Who wants
Craig,
to
real
speak?
quick.
Go ahead, Darryl.
Go ahead, Jimmy. Yeah, Craig,
okay, so
Jimmy was just baiting me, though. He wanted me to tell a story about how my dad, when my dad found out that the recruiter had called me and left a phone message on the answer machine, and wanted to know what my dad went down to the refinery and went got me off of the ladder. That's where I was working, and told me I had to go join the Navy because the recruiter had called and left a message on my answer machine. He wants me to tell that full story, but I don't think we got enough time.
It depends, man. We got 18 minutes. You can do whatever you want, dude. Jimmy, what did you want to say?
I'll tell it to you.
Well, Jimmy, what did you want to say real quick?
No, I was just going to say, Darryl, I don't know if you know this or not, but Janelle Watney got me the same job that you had in between your graduation from UL to joining the Navy. I did the same thing at Higgins as well for 1 year before I joined the Army and went to OCS. So another parallel in our lives.
Those poor kids, I don't think they did well in their studies in life, huh?
That's amazing.
No.
Thank you very much for calling in, Jimmy X. I don't know if you want to just hang on the phone and keep being a part of this, or if you want to. I know you got some other stuff going on, but thank you for being a part of the show, man.
No. I'm in Atchison, Kansas right now, watching my son play college baseball, and so I need to scoot here. But great, Darryl. Congratulations on being on the show. And you had a very successful, distinguished military career. And if there's any Archbishop Shaw High School from Marrero, Louisiana listeners out there, we're hosting the first annual Archbishop Shaw Texas Crawfish Boil Memorial Day Saturday.
Nice.
So, Craig, we might even throw you an invite.
Dude, I would love to go. That's awesome. Thank you so much, man.
All right. Take care, Darryl.
All right.
Okay. See you, Jim.
Darryl, I do want to ask you, I know that you've done a lot of public speaking because of and I will get back to the other question about the importance of the strategic moves that Trump has made to really control China and Russia. But I thought out of all the public speaking gigs you've done and some of the topics you've covered, one of the most interesting was your statement that failure is required to succeed. Something I've noticed about a lot of veterans is that a problem is something that you inevitably figure out an answer to. Even if at first you don't know the answer, veterans are a unique breed of people who don't give up. They see this as something they'll eventually work through, around, whatever. Do you mind talking to me a little bit about the value of failure and how it eventually breeds success for anyone out there in any field that might be able to get a lot out of your experience there?
Right. I really learned about failure and the equivalent of boot camp is officer candidate school, aviation officer candidate school. And the tasks are so hard. We had a 60% attrition rate. So from the day you entered the military and you want to be a pilot, there's a 60% attrition rate. It's almost as high as the SEALs, most probably second to highest, but
wow.
It's very, very high. So you're not going to be good at everything. I was a decent ball player. I wasn't that strong in school, but I had desire and I had heart, and I was willing to put in the time. But you have to recognize that if you fail at something, don't look at it. Don't blame somebody else. Don't, look at yourself in the mirror, find out what you might have done wrong or poorly, and figure out how to overcome. Use it as a gateway. That's why people in the military, that's why our military is so successful. You never quit. You never quit on the battlefield.
Yeah.
If I'm in an airplane, if I got a malfunction, I'm in I flew a big 4-engine airplane. I had 20 people on board this aircraft. I had a lot of souls responsible. So you cannot just quit when something goes wrong. You gotta fight through it. You gotta think through it. And it's the same way in life. When you fail at something, don't blame other people. Sit down, figure what you got to do, and get back at it. And that's the most important thing that we can teach our kids today. The biggest problem with a lot of I think younger generation is they expect to get something for nothing.
Yes.
Okay, you got to let them fail. Parents need to let their kids fail at something and encourage them once they start something to finish it. And if they fail, hey, get back on there, go do it, try and figure it out. And I think that's a big part of our life. And in the military, we cannot afford to not do it. That's why SEAL training is so important. The thing about SEAL training, all the guys I know that are SEALs, they don't look like Captain America. They're all in good shape, but they all don't look like Captain America. But you know what they got more than anything else? They want to be there. They got heart.
Yeah.
And that's what you got to do. You got to take failure. You got to take it on the chin, and then you got to get yourself back up and find out what you did wrong and fix it.
Yeah.
And then become better at it.
I got to be honest. I think only a guy like you with your record could say that the Navy SEALs aren't in the kind of shape I would have expected them to be in. I know you said they're in great shape, amazing shape, but I'm amazed at you saying what you did, because I think it takes your level of experience in the Navy and everything else. Because I imagine throughout your career you were pretty close to Navy SEAL shape yourself. Is that right?
Well, no. If you look at a picture, I'm a little bit on the heavy side. I was a ball player.
Nice.
But I did run 6 miles today on the treadmill. So I do run a lot. So,
that's awesome.
I'm 63. I'm 63 years old, so I still put the time in at the gym. But what I'm talking about is I'm just saying, not everybody looks like a Rambo.
I know.
Don't ever judge a person by their demeanor.
Yes.
by what they would look like, because there's a lot of people out there with heart, and we'll keep it up. And that's one thing I learned a long time ago. Don't ever judge a person by what they look like, or
Sure.
you judge them by their heart and by their commitment.
Well, and I'll be honest, that feels like the thing that's most missing for a lot of. I don't need this to just be a whole crapping on young people thing, but there's a lot of young people that you talk to where that drive to just succeed at all costs, regardless of the amount of things you have to shove through, and to shove through those things, to break through those ceilings, you have to, as you said a second ago, not blame everybody else. You have to figure out what you can do better to get through the next obstacle in front of you. But that feels like a thing that might be true of past generations, and especially true of military men and women, that seems to not be true of the Gen Z generation out there right now, is if it's even a little bit challenging, they want to give up.
My dad used to say something. My dad had this term. He would say, fail forward. Fail forward.
Amen.
And what he meant was, he was telling you to get up off your butt. We didn't have video games when I was a kid growing up, but don't sit on your butt and let time pass you by. You want to do something, you want to join. I cannot tell you how many people have told me, well, I wish I would have joined the military, but time just got away from me. Or sometimes people would say, I wish I would have played football in college, but I did. I didn't try out, or whatever. Well, or I wanted to start a business, but I didn't want to risk the money. You got to make the effort and put skin in the game, but you got to move forward. You just cannot sit there and expect opportunities to come to you.
Amen.
This opportunity presented me to talk to you, and it's a great opportunity. I love sharing my little bit of success in life. And if I can reach any young person out there, anybody out there, my single message is, move, fail forward, get up, don't be scared of failure.
Yes.
Failure's not a bad thing.
Yes. Yeah. Don't assume that, like, if you fail too, that there's some way for you to not succeed later. I think that's the biggest thing, is if someone does attempt something and fail, I see a lot of people think, well, that's it. I can't possibly figure out another way around this. And that is, to the military mindset, the exact opposite of what makes sense. If something is difficult,
same thing in business.
Right? Yeah, exactly. If something is difficult, you try harder. You figure out other ways around it. I want to get to the conversation about the value of Venezuela, Iran, the oil trade, the gas trade that exists between those countries, and China and Russia. Because you referenced it a little bit ago when you said the way that President Trump has planned his moves, people don't understand the actual value of these things. Sanctions against Russia for a long time have not worked because they've been able to circumvent them with oil trade with places like Iran. That is the big thing that I think Trump is after, is upending the entirety of that system. What do you want to say about that? What did you want to say in addition to what you've already said about, in 18 months he's done a lot?
Yeah, well, let's just start out with, Trump entered office. What was the first thing he did? Was, we're not going to focus on green energy. That's a loser strategy. We're going to focus on fossil fuels. Okay, the United States is the #1 producer of fossil fuels in the world. We're going to increase our energy production. We're going to be self-reliant. Boom. That's the next thing. Then he started working on Greenland. Why? Why was he working on Greenland? He was trying to look for an ulterior source of minerals. There's a huge amount of mineral wealth in Iceland. Okay? He did not want to give China access. And what he did was, a lot of people don't realize, he resecured a deal where China and Russia are denied any access to Greenland. No access at all to Greenland. So only the United States can mine Greenland.
Yeah, wow.
Okay? The next one, Venezuela. Come back. He attacked Iran. He basically buried their nuclear capability in the ground. Okay? Boom. Bold action. Second bold action. Okay? I'm sorry, the third bold action. Fourth bold action was Venezuela. Went in there, got Maduro. Look, to be honest with you, he sounds a little bit like a mafia don. That's okay. That's what I want. That's what I want as a president.
Yeah.
He took Venezuela. He took Maduro, and he says, "We can come get you, We can get you anytime you want. Okay, we will own you. So you're going to operate the way we want you to operate. The days of being pushed around and stupid things being said by a president like don't is we're not going to give false red lines. We're going to act on those. Venezuela now, we got the oil capacity of Venezuela. We got the refining capacity of Venezuela. Then the next step, Iran. Full, swift strokes. Iran, you're going to comply. Guess what? China's at the mercy. China's helping Iran go to the table. China's going to be right there whispering in the ears of Iran in Pakistan. Because guess what? They're not getting any oil either. Okay? We are independent. The United States only gets 3% of the oil from the Straits of Hormuz. So, the fact that oil is up is only because,
it's
for the
globally
last
traded,
25, 30 years, we've gotten this international market, and basically it's a cabal, and it drives up the energy price for everybody.
True.
But the truth of the matter is we're independent. The United States is independent, and it's a bold stroke. So Trump has played the long game massively. However, Americans are used to a short-term success. They don't want to have a lot of pain. And they don't realize that this will secure their future for the next 50 years.
Yeah.
There's not going to be a rising China. They're going to compete, but they're not going to be our enemy. Because guess what? We have determined that we're going to control this. One other thing I will say. It's very important. The Chinese was on the brink under the Biden administration of being able to switch the world currency from the dollar to the yuan. If that would have happened, okay, we would be paying $9 or $10 a barrel for a gallon of gas here in the United States, because the benefits that we have in the United States of paying in the dollar is we control the currency. And a lot of Americans, mama driving around in an SUV does not understand that. But Trump has done nothing but good for the United States. Very bold, very significant action.
Yeah, we only have about 4 minutes left, and I do want to get to mentioning your business one more time so that we make sure to highlight that. But I thought something you said was really interesting about how much more motivation your sons have, who are part of the U.S. Air Force, I think you mentioned, with Trump as opposed to the guy before him. And the big thing is probably what you said a second ago, too, the boldness of President Trump. He understands the capability of our military when he talks about it. When he says, if we want, we can just come get you. Or if we want, we could destroy all of this in a second kind of thing. When we hear other leaders of this country talk like our military isn't what it is, isn't the most capable in the entire world, it's confusing. And I think probably, and you can definitely weigh in on this, to a lot of veterans, it's like, what the hell am I even doing here? If you're going to act like we're not capable of the things we're capable of, and then you get Trump in there who speaks like he does, I imagine it very much motivates the military to live up to what we know we're capable of, what Trump seems to know we're capable of.
Right, and I think that's very important. I do think that Pete Hegseth has still some cleanup to do in the Pentagon.
Sure.
There's still a lot of DEI flag officers in the Pentagon that need to be fired. But he's slowly working his way through that list. I do want to say one other thing, though. We have a great military, and we focused a lot on air. And Jimmy alluded to, we've been in these wars with the Army and the Marine Corps, for all through Afghanistan, Iraqi freedom. We've been through all that. But one of the things that has really hurt the United States is we have stopped shipbuilding. And Trump brought back shipbuilding. And there's a reason. There's another reason why we're a little bit lacking in the Straits of Hormuz. We're down to like 220 ships in the United States Navy. We used to be 400, 500 ships. So we don't have the power projection. And the issue with the mines and the Straits is we wanted the Brits, okay, under NATO. They own the mine sweeping capability, and the Brits decided that they weren't going to participate
Yeah.
in this action. And the reason why is because they have not owned up to their edge of the bargain part of NATO. And we can get into NATO in another conversation.
We would have,
I'd
yeah,
love
because
to
we
talk
have
to you about
we
that.
have 1 minute left, and I want you to promote your business again. D2 Government Solutions, service disabled veteran owned. You are the disabled service veteran who owns it. Just tell us a little bit about it one more time before we get out of here.
Sure. D2 Government Solutions. We're a defense contractor. We're an aviation-centric company. We have contracts around the country with the United States Navy, Air Force, Marine Corps, and we basically we do the jobs that the government doesn't want to do. We do a lot of dirty jobs and get them done, and support the taxpayer. We provide great services for the taxpayer.
That's
There you have
amazing. Yeah. Thank you very much. Darryl Centanni on with me. Just honored to have you on, sir. Thank you for joining the show. And good luck to you out there. God bless your sons. And thank you for the service that your entire family has provided to this country. Thank you, sir.
Hey, thank you, Craig. I really enjoyed talking to you, and it's been great. So,
cool.
God bless.
All right, God bless you too. All right, we're out of here. That's it. That's the whole show. Thank you to Darryl. Thank you to everybody. Thank you to Jimmy X for setting that up. The Craig Collins Show, KSCV, KJBC, the voice of Texas.
You're listening to the Voice of Texas, AM 700 KSEV Tomball and AM 1540 KGBC Galveston.
To negotiate in good faith, we're certainly willing to extend the open hand. If they're going to try to play us, then they're going to find that the negotiating team is not that receptive.
President Trump complained that Iran was doing a very poor job by not allowing the free flow of ships through the Strait of Hormuz, through which 20% of the world's traded oil once passed. Former Vice President Kamala Harris is thinking about running for the presidency in 2028. White House correspondent Craig Clugston reports.
Appearing at the National Action Network's annual convention, Harris said she might consider another presidential bid. Asked directly by the Reverend Al Sharpton, she said, "I am thinking about it." Harris received a standing ovation. However, some in her party are looking to a new generation of Democratic leaders. More than a half-dozen potential candidates appeared at Sharpton's event this week, hoping to make inroads among black voters and jockeying for position in what promises to be a crowded 2028 field. Greg Clugston, Washington.
Their dramatic grand finale fast approaching. Artemis II's astronauts aimed for a splashdown in the Pacific on Friday to close out humanity's first voyage to the moon in more than a half-century. All eyes were on the capsule's life-protecting heat shield that has to withstand thousands of degrees during re-entry. On Wall Street, the Dow